Hi everyone, today I want to share with you how do you say goodbye to emotional eating to help you follow your boundaries when everything in you wants to break those boundaries and go have something fun to eat and just start tomorrow. Okay, so if you look at the table of contents and say goodbye to emotional eating, you'll notice that there are 5 sections in the renewing section. Okay, so the easiest thing to do is just start at the beginning and go through them one by one. So whenever you're going to renew your mind, you just go to the next exercise, and if you really think it's not going to apply to your situation, skip it. But what I found is a lot of times you kind of think it's not going to apply, but actually does if you just tweak the questions a little bit. So you can do that. But the second option would be to ask yourself, okay, why do I feel like eating right now? And then go to that section and choose a renewing exercise from that section. So here's an example. Let's say you're in the house, you've got lemon bars in the house, and it's like, I want to eat that lemon bar. In fact, why would I not eat a lemon bar if it's in the house? Okay, if that's what you're feeling like, go to section 2, I don't feel like following my boundaries. And there are all kinds of renewing exercises in that section that you can use to renew your mind in that situation. In fact, one of the exercises is called, I would be crazy not to eat this. Okay, let's take another scenario. Let's say that something happened today and you are feeling distraught and everything in you is wanting to eat. In fact, you're wanting to eat so much that you're willing to drive out to eat. Okay, if you're in that situation, that's an emotional eating situation. And so you would go to section 3, I need chocolate, and you would choose a renewing exercise from that section to renew your mind with. One of them is, my life is a wreck. Another is, I need a little excitement in my life. Or I deserve this treat. Or one's called when you're anxious. So there's all kinds of renewing exercises that will, be applicable depending on what you're going through that day. Okay, the next section is called I have to be skinny. And use these renewing exercises when you're feeling you're just feeling like, oh, I look so terrible. Everyone will think I look terrible. And you just feel like you have to be skinny to be acceptable. In fact, you might need this section if you spend a lot of time on social media and you see all those skinny people out there. Because here's what happens when we feel like we have to be skinny, it makes us overeat, surprisingly, because we're emotional eaters. So we're going to overeat even when we're feeling like we're overweight. So it's not that efficient, but that's what we do, right? So use one of those exercises if you're feeling that way. Okay, then the last section is I'll never lose this weight. And this is the section you'll use to renew when you're just discouraged about the whole weight loss process. When you're feeling like, I will never get over this, I might as well eat. When you're sick to death of following your boundaries, or you're just kind of sick of the whole struggle. Got all kinds of renewing exercises in that section because I remember what that was like. And I don't know how many times I wrote in my journal, even after a few years of renewing the mind, I'll never get over this. It's just this time it's just like all the others. So those renewing exercises will help with that. I also have one other section, and that is section 1, I'm afraid to start. So I have a few renewing exercises in that section that are kind of, things that are just applicable to the beginning of the process, like, nervous about trying again, or do I really need boundaries? Or maybe there's some in there, there's one that's called lies that you learned growing up. So really these exercises you can use anytime. You don't have to use that at the beginning. Just go through the table contents. There are 100 renewing exercises. You're going to find something that will help you. And I am excited to see what God will do in your life. I feel like this is a book that will help you develop a renewing of the habit. That was my purpose in writing a book. I wanted to make it fun and easy to renew your mind. So I'm hoping that you will go to God and spend some time with Him. In fact, as you renew, try and think of it as a time with God. So you could either be kind of visiting with Him as you write down the answers to the questions, or you could, like, say, if you have an aha moment as you're going through them, you could talk to God about that. So, you might not do that every time, but try to do that. Try to have it be a relationship building experience with God as you do it. And also take off your perfectionist hat. If you're a perfectionist and you think, oh, I got to answer him perfectly or it won't work, take that off because this is just like any habit you're learning. You start at the beginning, you're not that great, you get better at it, and you're going to learn as you go. If you find that you do the exercises and you don't see your desires changing, they're not making you want to follow your boundaries, at least in the moment, then look through the rest of the book, because I have all kinds of tips on how to truth journal, how to do different renewing exercises. And it could be you need to read one of those tips to help you, renew your mind in a different way to be more effective. And here's what happens when we renew our mind. If I'm renewing my mind in the moment, 95% of the time, it's going to help me change my desires, so I'll be able to follow my boundaries. But 3 or 4 hours later, I might be right back at it, feeling like I want to break my boundaries again. So then you have to renew your mind again. So you get little moments of victory, little moments of truth, and you string those moments together. And eventually, after lots and lots and lots of renewing, you won't feel those desires anymore. So the first time, before you start, you're like, have all kinds of lies that are bombarding you, making you want to eat. And then after a while, you start hearing the truth as soon as you hear the lie. And then eventually you don't hear those lies anymore. And so those lies are no longer driving you to eat. So this book is going to really help you. And I hope you'll spend that time with God and with the truth. Write down your answers if you can. I feel like it's much more effective if you write your answers in the book. So anyway, I hope this helps.